Hello friends, this is your Amir Malik. Today we are going to discuss 2D arrays, means two-dimensional arrays. Guys, 2D array is a kind of a matrix or a grid made up of rows and columns, and we can call it an array of arrays as well. So, this 2D array can be used in many kind of games, especially like grid kind of games and apps. If you think about checkers or chess, Scrabble, and many apps like Candy Crush, yes, all these apps and games are basically based on the basis of 2D arrays. If you look at the diagram, you can see that it is very easy, and it is quite similar how we previously declared one-dimensional or 1D array. So first of all, you have to write the data type, but rather than writing just one pair of square brackets, you have to write two pairs of square brackets and the name of the array. And then if you want to give like predefined values, then these are like the outer curly brackets, and then in these outer or outside curly brackets, you have to write all the rows. So basically this will represent the first row. It means first row will have three values, mean three columns. And then similarly, second row obviously will have three columns and three different values. So in this way, we can create a grid like this. So if you look at this diagram, it has three rows and three vertical columns. So if you look at this example, we have created a string two-dimensional array candy board, and it has 1, 2, 3 columns in one row, and then 3 in second, 3 in third, and 3 in fourth row. So you can see this 2D array will look like this. It will have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows and 1, 2, 3 columns. And as we know that in Java, your index number starts with 0. So the first value, like this value, will have index 0, 0, means 0 row and 0 column. And then this will be 0, 1, like 0 row, because row is same, and column is now like the next one, 1. And this will become 0, 2. So this is the way this will become 1, 0, or 1, or we can call it 1, 0, or you can call it 1, 1, and then we can call it 1, 2, and similarly 2, 0, 2, 1, 2, 2, and this is 3, 0, 3, 1, and 3, 2. So this is the way we can find the index of a 2D array, and whenever we have to put values in these slots, in these boxes, we should know the index numbers. And one very important thing, these two square brackets, the first one is always for rows and second one is for columns. If you look at this grid, you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4 columns, and this is like row number 1 and row number 2 and row number 3. So we have 3 rows and 4 columns. So when we have to declare it, we'll definitely write the name. For example, it can be an integer, and if the data type is integer, then 2 pairs of square brackets, and then name of array, like this is the name of the array, and then equal sign, and then new keyword, and then again int, and then 2 square brackets. And in first bracket, if I write 3, it means it will have 3 rows, and if I write 4, it means it will have 4 columns. So this is the way we have to declare a two-dimensional array which will have 3 rows and 4 columns. Okay, so if we talk about the index of each block, then the first index will be 0, 0, and we have to write like this. Okay, so 0, 0, or it's better to mention it like this, not like this. Okay, So it means 0 row and 0 column. So this is the way you can write all the indexes, and then it will be 0 row and 1 column, and it will become 0 row and 2 column, and it will become 0 and 3. And similarly, if I talk about this, it will be row number 1, like index 1, because after 0 it is 1, and column is also 1. And what about this? It will be row number 0, 1 and 2, and then column numbers 0, like 0, 1, 2 and 3. So this is the way you can find out the indices of all the blocks of a 2D array. And if we have to store a value here, like if 5 is the value, then it means 5 is stored at 0, 0, means 0 row and 0 column. And if we store 10 here, then it means 10 is stored at row number 1 and column number 1, column index 1 and row index 1. So this is the way you can put values. Remember when we discussed 1D array or one dimensional array, we used one loop to traverse the array. Traversal means when you have to check each and every block of an array and put some values into it. You can do it one by one, or you can do it by using a loop. So in 2D array, if we have two index like for row and for column, then definitely we'll use two loops. So this is I just told you a little bit earlier, because we are going to do it again. We are going to do it a little bit later, but okay, let's move towards our favorite, Replit. So here we are on Replit, and okay, I'm going to create a 2D array. So this is a 2D array. Its name is my board, and its data type is double, and then 2 square brackets, and the new keyword double, and 8 3. It means it will have 8 rows and 3 columns. Remember, the first value is for rows and second value is for columns, always. Okay, if you want to know in any at any step of the program, you want to know that how many rows are in your array, or how many columns, and how can you do that? Okay, so if you want to know the number of rows, then you have to write my board, like the name of the array, dot length. It will tell you the number of rows. Yes, the number of rows is always calculated by writing my board, name of the array, dot length, and you can put into some variable result. And when you want to print it, then you can write system.out.println, and then you can write the variable where the value is stored, and that was result, and I'm going to print it. And remember, we have 8 rows and 3 columns in this my board 2D array. So let's see what is the result. So 8. So we have 8 rows. Now if you want to okay, let me change the name of the variable. It will look better. Okay, so it is rows, and now I want to print the number of columns, and for that purpose definitely I need to write something. And whenever you have to calculate the number of columns, then you have to write like this: my board, like the name of the array, and then n square bracket. You have to write like the index of a row, because you have 8 rows. you can write any index like index 0, index 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because in every row the number of columns will be same. Remember, if you look at this diagram, in every row the number of columns are same. So if you give index of any row, it will give you the number of columns. Okay, so I'm going to run it and see 8 and 3. So this is the output. You can see 8 and 3 here. So basically, if you want to know the number of rows, you have to write array name dot length, and if you want to know the number of columns, then you have to write array name with any index of a row dot length. So this is the way you can find out the number of rows and number of columns in your 2D array. So here I have created a 2D array with the name A, and it is an integer data type 2D array with 4 rows and 3 columns. Okay, so I have declared a variable temp and its initial value is 10. Okay, why? I'll tell you later. So I'm using a for loop here for int I is equal to 0, I should be less than 4. Remember, whenever we are going to traverse a 2D array, whenever we are going to put values to check each and every slot of each and every block of a 2D array, we use nested loop, 2 loops, one loop for rows and the inner loop for columns. Remember, our outer loop is always for rows and inner loop is always for columns. As we mentioned rows before mentioning columns when we declare or create an array, similarly the outer loop will be for rows and inner loop will be for columns. So we have 4 rows and 3 columns. So outer loop will start from 0 because index starts from 0, and then it should be less than 4. Why less than 4 and why not less than equal to 4? Because I told you in the previous video, if we are going to use like equal 4 means it will give you out of bound array out of bound exception or index out of bound exception, because there is no 4 index in the row, like because we have 4 rows, so the indexes will be 0, 1, 2 and 3, so there's no 4. So that's why your loop should start from 0 and should end before 4, and you're going to increment it. And then inside this, right after writing this loop without writing anything, you will add another loop for int j is equal to 0 and j is less than 3, because you have 3 columns. So column indices are 0, 1 and 2. So obviously j should be less than 3 and j plus plus. Here you're going to write a of I j is equal to temp, means the very first value. When the loop will be executed, the value of I will be 0. Because I is 0 is less than 4, so loop control will come here. Now j becomes 0, j is less than 3. Okay, so right now at this point I is 0 and j is 0. So it will become a of 0, 0. It means 0 index of row, 0 index of column, and this value should be entered at the very first index, that is like 0, 0. And what is the value of temp? It is 10. So 10 will be saved at index 0, 0. Now the loop will go back to the inner loop, because you know that we have already discussed in the previous videos that for every iteration of outer loop, inner loop should complete all its iterations. So now j will become 1 and I is still 0. So after putting 10 into like the first index, temp will become 20, because temp is equal to temp plus 10. So now the next value of temp is 20. So at this point I is 0 and j is also 0. J has become 1. So now it is 0 comma 1, means row is same but column is the next one, and there the value of temp will be stored, which is 20 now, and now 20 plus 1, 20 plus 10, 30. J becomes 2 0 1 2, and I is still 0, so 0 2 means the last column of first row, which is A02, and it will have 30. So now inner loop is completed. Now the control will go out, int I will become 1 now, means second row starts here. So I is 1 now, and now the j, like the inner loop, will again iterate for all its executions. So j will become 0, then j will become 1, and then j will become 2, and these will be the values for row number 2. Now inner loop is completed, it will go back to outer loop, I will become 2, means third row, and for third row j will become 0 1 and 2, and all the values for third row will be stored, and then I will become 3, means last row, row number 4. J will become 0, then 1, and then 2. So all the 3 columns of row number 4 will have their values. So this is the way you can store values in an array. But if we run it, nothing will be displayed, because we have not used any print statement, because if there is no print statement, nothing will be printed. At the back end, the array is created. At the back end, all the values are stored in the array, but we cannot see them, because to display the data we need to use a print statement. So here we are going to use a print statement, but you need to remember this for loop was used for storing values. Now we are going to use the same for loop for printing these values, and obviously we need to do some changes, and I'm going to delete these values because we don't need to take values anymore. So remember, so this loop from instruction number 7 to 14, this loop is for putting values into 2D array, and now the second loop is for displaying values, and here we are going to use, in this inner loop we are going to use print statement, so we can print all the values. Okay, so we have added this as sum.out.print statement in A, the name of array, and then I into j, means wherever the values are stored at 0 0 0 1 0 2, and then 1 0 1 1 1 2 2 0 2 1 2 2, and same, all the indices. So the loop will be executed again, both loop, outer loop and inner loops, both loops will be executed again, and the value of I and j will be changed. It will become 0 0 0 1 0 2, and all the values will be printed. So I'm going to run it, and okay, see, this is the result, but you can see that result doesn't look like a grid, because we used print statement, and when we use print statement, all the values are printed on on one line, and even the cursor remains at the same line. It's here, so you see, here is the cursor. If we use println, then what will be the difference? Okay, I'm going to use println, and you can see what is the difference. For println, the value will be printed on one line, and then cursor will move to the next line. So it means we have to think something out of the box to represent the values in a form of a grid. So what we have done, we have just used a simple system.out.println statement. Okay, now what is the purpose of this statement? Okay, first the value of 0 0 0 will be printed, and then because we are using print, so cursor will remain on the same line, and then with a small space it will print the second value and then the third value. And because the first iteration is completed, so the control will come here and a new line will be generated, and then loop will go back, and then 1 0 1 1 1 2 will be printed, and then one more blank line, and then another execution. Let's run it and let's see how the program looks like. So you can see that 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 100. So with the increment of 10, we have put like all these 12 values in this 2D array. 4 rows, 3 columns. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 rows and 3 columns. That was just a program where I used this temp variable, initialized it with 10 and then incremented it with 10. So 10 plus 10, 20, and then plus 10, 30 and 40 and so on. All the values were saved in these blocks. But if you want to take values from the user, what you can do is in this inner loop, you can simply ask the user to put a value for row and column, for I and j. So the first value will go into I, the second value will go into j. You can obviously, you have to control it with the program, and before doing this you have to import the scanner utility. Import, we have already practiced it in many previous videos, that how to take input from the user, and then you have to create a scanner, and then you have to use I and j, and then you can take values from the user as well. I'll try to make a video on that as well, but I think it's more than enough for today, and I hope that you'll find it interesting and helpful. So if you like it, then please you have to subscribe my YouTube channel. And one more thing is, don't forget to like my videos, don't forget to promote it, to send it to your friends who are interested in Java. And one more thing, if you want to ask me anything, you can write in the comment section of a video, and I'll definitely try to give answers to your queries. And till the next video, because we have to make videos on maybe 2D, something more about 2D arrays, or then maybe about array lists. So till next video, take care, have a nice day.